This is Basic AF episode 87. Show notes for this and every episode can be found at basicafshow.com. What's up, everybody? Tom Anderson here, joined as always by the man, Jeff Battersby. Hello, Jeff.
Good morning, Tom Anderson.
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
You smoking still? You pick up smoking again?
It's stroking. I've been stroking, and not the kind you're thinking about.
Right, yeah. God. Okay, all right.
We started off well. No,
we did,
no,
right?
It's
pre-show chatter led us into that, so that's my fault.
It did. Right, yeah, it's always your fault, Tom.
Mm-hmm. I'll take it. I don't care. A quick PSA, public service announcement.
Sure.
Okay. Next month, we're going to be switching up our website a little bit with the host, going back to the Buzzsprout-provided website. So everything stays the same domain-wise, still basicafshow.com. It'll look a little different for the 5 of you that actually go to the website to listen. For those of you that listen in your podcast app, what difference does it make, really? But just a heads up there. Real quick, want to say thanks for the great feedback on our last episode with Bill McLean, where we were taking a look at our AI workflows. I think that show turned out really well. People seem to enjoy that discussion. I think primarily because we were pretty balanced in that. We weren't too much fanboyism. I don't think there's
I think there was a lot
of
not fanboyism.
Right, which I think was pretty good. So we talk about what's working, what's not, and then we may have had some thoughts on the CEOs of those AI outfits. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, go ahead and check that out. And a quick promo, if I may. The last, and it's going to roll into our first topic. The last couple of newsletters that I've sent out have focused on Apple Notes.
Yes.
And so if you are a regular user of Apple Notes, you may want to check those out. The first one's 4 things we're setting up today, which will help you with finding things in Apple Notes relatively easily. Help you out with that. And then the most recent one from this week were 4 fast ways to capture to Apple Notes. Because if you're like me, you can hold a thought for about 26 seconds, and you better write it down pretty fast. So have some tips in there for that. So if you have not seen those and you would like to, tomfanderson.com is where they can be found. And if you want to sign up for the newsletter, there's a subscription thing right up there at the top. It's free. There's no charge or anything. So you can take care of that there.
Indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Yeah, and, Apple Notes, kind of a thing. At least I use it a ton. You are now kind of recommending using it a ton, making it a new feature. And as we know, our good friend Bill McLean, who appears here regularly, he bounces back and forth between that and about 5 other note-taking apps on a weekly basis. But he always comes back home to Apple Notes.
He does.
Poor dude, man. I don't know what
tormented.
His thing is. Yeah, he's troubled. I think it is a means. And I love you. I love you, Bill. Just trust me on this. He uses it as a means to procrastinate, I think it's he has other work to do. He finds things to do with notes, which, I get. I totally get. So, So it's Notes is, and we may as well step into it. Notes is a really powerful application that Apple continues to make more and more powerful as time goes on. So we got some thoughts. So why don't you talk about what came out in your newsletter, Tom?
Oh, that's all I was going to say.
Yes. Oh, that's all you were going to say?
Yeah, it was just
we weren't going to talk.
I weren't going to deep dive into it. No, that's a teaser.
Geez.
If you want to see it, you go read.
Oh, good God! All right. So one of the things we're going to throw.
Though.
Yeah. Touch it.
No.
Tom.
So I talked about search and how search isn't just for titles in notes. It will actually go into the content in the notes and not just the text. So if you've got PDFs attached to your notes or photos you've taken, OCR, all of that stuff, and look through it. You can make smart folders. I think you use smart folders as part of your Forever Note setup, right?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. And it's great. It works brilliantly. smart folders, basically you give it a criteria. For my purposes, just using a tag to one of the hashtags that you can put in, and using that to collect a bunch of items that have that same hashtag. And a lot of that for me is related to various writing projects that I have going on. Just gives me an easy way to get to those. But smart folders can really use any criteria you want. Apple is kind of changing it up a little bit, so I haven't had time quite yet to go through and deal with some of those changes. Apple, one of the things that Matthias had put in there, or had given to people that were using his tool, and you might recall that we had Matthias on the show a little bit ago, and he was a great guest. Might like to have him again sometime to talk about what some of those changes are. But it has screwed up the way that the shortcuts work. No surprise. Apple has a gift. Has a gift for kind of screwing that stuff up. So if you've been using Forever Notes, you may want to go have a look and see what it is that he's updated on the website, because there are some changes, and those changes are kind of was just giving me a list of things because it wasn't looking at the title anymore. So anyway, all that to say, you can use Smart Notes to add any type of criteria. You can add dates. You can look for keywords, a number of other things that you can use to be able to very easily pull up a very specific selection of notes that you might want to have. And I haven't used this much yet, Tom, but I did send you a link to it the other day. There's pretty much a free app. It's not 100% free. You can do the pro version. I think it's like $8 a month. But there's essentially a plugin for the Notes app called ProNotes that the free version gives you a formatting bar, gives you access to Markdown, which you may know that you can export notes in Markdown now, which is really nice. But it gives you access to Markdown / commands. You can have bi-directional links in their templates that they offer. And then there's a $8 a month version that actually uses AI. So do I care about that? Heck no. But the free version, really good. It gives you a lot of pretty powerful tools that brings notes kind of into the realm of craft. And maybe you said Notion, right? I've never really used Notion, but it brings up a nice formatting toolbar, right, with whatever you've highlighted in text, and gives you the ability to do a number of different things with that, including, you can write in Markdown and it'll handle it appropriately. Number of / commands, so you can create blocks. You have the ability to put in tables and things like that using this plugin. Which I wasn't even aware that you could have extensions or plugin capabilities in Notes. So nice little feature for making things easy to format. Really kind of like it. And I haven't played with it much other than to have installed it. And I'd recommend that you try it.
All right.
We'll have a link to that in the show notes, by the way.
We will. Yes, we will.
As always. Because we're...
Yeah. And just a quick wrap up on the craft and Notion piece. It brings it in kind of in line just for like the text formatting and text handling part of it, not the databases or collections or some of the other things that those apps will do. But / commands, though, once I got used to using those, and it's hard to not have it because it makes it so quick to format and add new sections and stuff like that. So
yeah, nice little feature. And like I said, free. And unless you need to use AI, The only other thing I'd like, and who knows if the ProNotes guy, maybe we have the ProNotes guy on. That might be kind of fun. But the only thing I'd like to do is be able to send the guy some money. But I don't want to do $7.99 a month.
Like a one-time thing. Here's
I'd like to be
$15 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just to say, hey, I appreciate the work that you're doing with this, because it really is. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice feature.
All right.
All righty.
Okay, so in the news of late, exactly, quite a few things. So we talked a couple of episodes ago about the scarcity of certain Mac items in the lineup, in particular the Mac Mini and the Mac Studio. Mm-hmm. And that continues to be the case. And of course, there's obviously an upgrade coming, a refresh at some point to take them from the M4 to the M5. We assume that's coming. And some of the higher end configurations they had discontinued, or not discontinued, but they were hard to get. I think a few they took off the website. I guess they just didn't have them. And then some of the other ones, if you go to look, they're 10 to 12 weeks out for delivery. But here in the last week or so, Apple has, at least for now, discontinued the base $599 Mac Mini configuration, which was the 256 gigs of storage with 16 gigs of RAM. Ramifications from that means the entry price for now, maybe forever, who knows, is $799, which is the 512 gig storage. So it's not, I think that product existed. So really what they've done is they've just dropped the low end.
Yes.
And gone with this. It's still $699 in education. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute because there have been some changes there as well.
Yeah, and related, there's talk that I was at the Apple Store yesterday, so it's not necessarily 100% true at the moment, but there's talk that they might be dropping the low end Neo. Which is the new one, the new Apple laptop that is quite phenomenal.
Apparently selling like mad.
Yeah, I believe it. They're super good computers. They're really amazing. So, and for entry-level computer, they're better than anything you can get your hands on, Chromebook, PC, or otherwise. So it really is good stuff. But there is some chatter that Apple will be dropping the low end of those, which kind of makes sense to me anyway. The bigger hard drive, same RAM, because of the chip that's in there. The A18 chip only goes up to 8 gigs of RAM, or only allows addressing for 8 gigs of RAM. But having Touch ID on it, I think makes a big difference. So if they were to drop it, that makes a ton of sense. So we shall see. But my suspicion is the disappearing Mac Minis, Mac Studios is because Apple's about to do a refresh. And so, why waste components on stuff you're not going to be selling anymore?
Could be, yeah. And Tim Cook addressed that in the earnings call last week. Wasn't this?
Was last week. I paid no attention to it.
As this show publishes, it'll be the week before last. But he says the supply constraints likely won't recover for several months because of the global memory chip shortage. So that continues to be a thing. Prices continue to go up, so that's going to be an interesting thing too. Upcoming or incoming CEO John Ternus, he's going to have some work to do managing all of this with his supply chain folks, which Tim Cook obviously was a master of supply chain. So
yeah, he was a supply chain guy. Ternus is a hardware guy. So we'll see.
But I'm sure they'll figure it out eventually.
100% accurate. As they do. So anyway, all that to say. So I might as well say why I was at the Apple Store
Go ahead.
Since I said I was at the Apple Store. So it's really weird. About 2 weeks ago, because of my stroke, I had not been using my standing desk. Just because it was a lot to stand and try to write. So I started rearranging that, no longer teaching online Apple certification classes because there is no such thing anymore. So I removed my standing desk, removed that little piece of it and was setting it back up as a sit-down place so I could do writing. And I plugged my MacBook Pro into my studio display, and my studio display would connect and then go off, connect and then go off, connect and then go off. It was really annoying. So I thought I was having a studio display issue, but I plugged my Mac Mini that I'm using right now into it and worked fine. So clearly not a display issue, but I did make an appointment with the Apple Store in Danbury and went there to I brought the display in. I made an appointment for the display, though by the time I was going there, I didn't think that was where the issue was. They could not figure out what the issue was either, but we kind of narrowed it down to there's something going on with my MacBook Pro. So let me just tell you, boys and girls, AppleCare, paying for that is well worth your while because they were going to replace the logic board, the top case, the battery, all the fun things for a total of $0. $0. So they had to order they had to order a logic board. They had everything else in stock, but they needed to get a logic board in. So they called me on Friday. Is that right? Thursday. Called me on Thursday to say the parts were in. I went there on Friday, and the last time I was there, I was looking at either a Neo or the idea of grabbing the MacBook Air to play with for a little bit. So I dropped off my MacBook Pro and actually ended up picking up a MacBook Air and just to play with it to see what I think of it. And then I'll have a couple of days with the two of the computers side by side, determine whether I keep the MacBook Air and sell the MacBook Pro or return the MacBook Air and keep the MacBook Pro. The reality is, like I said, I'm typing. There's no – it's a glorified typewriter that I do some photo work on. But I will say that MacBook Air is really, really nice. Light, a little clicky for me at the moment. I think I can make some adjustments. But like when I hit the trackpad and to select stuff, it's like click, click. It's like jumping out at me. I did set this up at this point in time with, with no, like the only thing I haven't installed any of the usual software that I have on there. Yeah. I just installed Highland Pro, and so I could write, and so I'll play with it that way. And interesting adjustment. I didn't even put email on it. So when I don't answer you, Tom, it's not because I don't love you.
Just leave email off of it, and you'll be like, this is even better.
Yeah, that's it. I'm almost at that point. It's so funny because I looked at it, and again, stroke has changed things a little bit for me. I barely check my email now. There's some things that I'm looking for that I'll look at. So who knows? Maybe I just need a glorified typewriter. And there's something to be said for that. So I haven't put anything on that to speak of other than Highland Pro, but a really nice computer, super lightweight. I didn't realize holding it side by side yesterday with the Neo. It is actually a little thinner than the Neo is, which I didn't
just
realize.
A smidge,
not much, but yeah, enough.
Right.
And we may as well. Throw this out there too. I think you at your university where you work are recommending the MacBook Air as the standard. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, nothing's changed there for us other than it's M5 now and not the M4.
Right. And what's the standard config for that?
Standard config now is 16 gigs of RAM, 512 storage is the base model.
Yeah.
We do bump the cores up on the GPU, not from the base model up to the next one, which I think is 81010 or 101010. I can't remember what the core count is. And then we were adding the 70-watt charger just because it did fast charging. Figure around, oh crap, didn't charge last night and I got a class. At least if they plug in, they get 15 minutes charged, they'll get a couple hours out of that.
Yeah.
But since they put the adaptive charger in with this batch, we decided not to do that anymore. So that's what we've got. In fact, we just got 100 more in this past week for summer stuff. It's about to start, and we're going to start working on fall stuff here pretty soon.
Nice. And do you let them choose colors, or is it?
No, they're all silver. Yeah.
Okay.
One year we accidentally ordered the space gray or space black, whatever it was at that time. And it looked great, but what we would find is, you knock it around a little bit, as is prone to happen
Students
on a college
do.
campus.
Yeah.
They, any little ding, and you'd see the bright aluminum underneath of it. And so little nicks and scratches and things were really apparent. And so we were like, that's why we did the silver. Okay, we won't make that mistake again.
And have you updated this is a personal site for you, but what's the best Mac for college website yet?
That will be updated in next month.
Okay.
Probably not that long, but yeah. And no spoiler. I mean, it's going to be the MacBook Air M5 with a kind of section for the Neo there to
All right,
accommodate that. Because I think in some situations, that's probably going to be okay.
The Neo. Yeah, I would say for people that
I get a little concerned going 3-4 years out, like what might happen then. But, the MacBook Air properly configured is going to be 1,1400. Just buy a new Neo in 2 years. I mean, same amount of money.
Right.
But
yeah, it's interesting because my brother Greg, who has been on the show as well when he took the 12-hour trip from LA to
good times.
The Bay Area in his new electric car. He texted me last night. His girlfriend's daughter's headed off to college and was asking me what I'd recommend. And she's going to art school. Actually, that's where she's going to go. And good for you being at a college that has a large video component, correct? You have students that are doing a lot of video work there, music, and that kind of stuff. And plenty of bang for your buck in those MacBook Airs. So that is what I recommended to him. So, Greg, now you've heard it from Tom, the college guy.
The IT professional.
Yeah, the college IT professional. So he's that's his deal. So
cool.
MacBook Air, more than sufficient, and a really, really good computer. So I'll let you know. And by the time we have the next show, I'll let you know whether or not I'm keeping that or selling my selling my MacBook Pro and keeping that or keeping the MacBook Pro. We'll see.
Right.
After a little side-by-side comparison.
That'll be good. And speaking of buying Apple products for school, for years, you've been able to go to the Apple Education Store online and buy something at a discount.
Yes.
They have tightened up that a little bit here in the last week, where Apple now requires Unidays verification for education discounts here in the good old U.S. So what does that mean exactly? Well, that means if you go to the Apple Education Store and you want to buy something at a discount, which is usually like $100, so nothing. Like I take advantage of it. There's just some more requirements. Like they're doing a little more verification around it, and so what you'll need to do with this Unidays system, you have to have an email address from your educational institution, so .edu most likely, a student or staff photo ID, or another valid education document. So the ID part is new. For the Apple Store anyway. There's other places that use this. Unity's is used in a lot of different ways. But one of the things that they have done too, in addition to that, is they have added the Apple Watch Series 11, Apple Watch SE, and Apple Watch Ultra 3 to the Education Store.
Yeah, that's nice.
Which is nice because now you can get up to a 10% discount on the watch. So it could save you anywhere from $30 to $70, give or take, for that. So just be aware of that if you're planning to do it. If you are legitimately, student, not a big deal.
Right.
If you're gaming the system a little bit,
which I will say, so about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, my mom upgraded her iMac, and we were at a store. I will not divulge which one, but while we were about to buy it, they basically said, "Do you know a teacher?" Which, my sister-in-law is a teacher. Her daughter is a student, and they live in the house with my mom. It's like, okay, education discount for you. So tightening that up a little bit, which makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense.
So the people who it was intended for all along can still take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And if you wait a little bit longer, I think it's another couple of weeks. Apple usually throws, if you're heading off to college or to school,
right,
throws AirPods or something at you. So definitely worth the wait if you're in the market for this to see
back to school happens. Program should spin up here pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So maybe you wait until June if you can. And speaking of June, which is next month, we're just about a month away from this year's Worldwide Developer Conference, where we'll get our looks at the versions 27 of all of the operating systems. Fresh rumor for that, as we've talked about before, Apple is going to be working with Google.
Mm-hmm.
Gemini, whether or not Jeff likes that or not, to power some of the kind of the next generation on-device plus private cloud compute Siri functions.
I'm sorry, am I laughing?
Yeah, it's coming real soon now.
Any day.
And so, but additionally, they are, according to this rumor anyway, is they're going to expand the offerings for third-party AI that you can use. Because right now you can add ChatGPT to Apple Intelligence. So if you ask it something and it's like, would you like to send this over to ChatGPT? And you can, and it will give you responses and everything. The rumor says they will add Gemini to that as well as Claude. So you'll have, looks like, up to 3 choices for what you want your overflow AI to be. Just very excited about all that. I suspect he'll buy pro accounts of all of them to max out.
Absolutely. I want them all.
Okay.
I want them all. Claude might work for me, but on the rare occasion that I actually, use that for something, which I do occasionally use it. But not my bag. Tom wouldn't hire me. That's the kind of guy I am. He loves me, but if I were coming in and he asked me about AI, I'd say, I use it a little bit. He would say, "Sorry, pal. Next customer.
You're out."
Yeah, you suck. Which I do. So
there's rumors that we will get a standalone Siri chat app. Have you seen those rumors, Jeff? Have you seen?
I haven't seen that. Where was that?
Yeah, I think Gurman did that, and it's Gurman, so it is what it is. But so it's
pretty good.
It's going to be like a chat assistant, kind of like you would open up ChatGPT or Claude. You would open up a Siri app, and you would talk back and forth to it. So we'll see.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, right. And then related to Siri, Apple sometimes gets these class action lawsuits, Jeff.
What?
Yeah, believe it or not. So if you recall, back when the iPhone 16 series of phones were released, that was the WWDC leading up to that, where they were talking about the new advanced Siri and look what it'll be able to do with all of these Apple Intelligence features on device, contextual awareness of everything. Hey, your mom's flight's coming in, you better go pick her up, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, well, we just said we're still waiting for that. And so there was a class action lawsuit that accused Apple of false advertising and unfair competition.
Yes. Well,
because it sold those as kind of like the big feature for the 16 series of phones.
And I'm just under the wire with the 15 Pro Max that I have.
Yes. And so you, looks like, are
$5
eligible for a payout.
$5.
It's $250 million settlement, which to poor broke guys like us sounds like a boat ton of money. But then you think...
Yeah, if it was at least one of those millions was coming to me.
Yeah. For Apple, it's a rounding error. So,
right. Like, oops. Yeah, exactly. Oh, change? You want my pocket change?
Yep. The eligible devices for this, so if you have iPhone 16, 16e, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, or 16 Pro Max, so any of the 16 series, 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max, and that were purchased between June 10, 2024 and March 29, 2025, you are eligible. Do you fall in that window?
I do, yeah. The 15 Pro Max. I have the.
And you purchased it after June 10th or before? I think you probably had it before.
I don't know. I'd have to.
I don't know. Let's see. You're not going to get your $5.
Probably not. And the other question is, why does this not also include Macs that were purchased with ready for Apple Intelligence?
That's a good question. Maybe just because it was more heavily marketed for the phone. I don't know. I'd have to read through that. The payout. Okay, here's where it gets good. $25 for each eligible device. Though that could, Jeff, increase up to $95 per device if volume is low.
Gotcha.
So those they'll start to send out email notices for that in 4 or 5 weeks, it looks like. So, which I always get those because I forget, and I'm like, oh, this is totally a scam. I'm not filling that out.
I fill them all out.
So I'll have to remember this one so I can maybe get $25.
There you go.
And I'm sure I'll find some way to turn around and give it right back out, to Apple on some subscription.
Apple. Right.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm sure you will.
Yep. What else we got?
So not a lot. It's been a quiet week, or two that we've had.
We're in that sweet lull right before the
WWDC, right?
We do have some updates coming out next week. Looks like,
yeah,
or this
we
week.
We should get a 26.5 update, right?
Yeah, so those will come out. Maybe the last or next to last updates will, like big updates, like dot something updates that we'll get. Like they'll continue to do security updates and everything for 26.
Yeah, of course,
but new feature updates are probably going to wrap up here as we head into the 27 versions.
Yes,
and then we'll get into our discussions on whether or not to do the betas.
Yeah, well, I always do. So
yeah, I usually do some too. And I remember last year I did the Tahoe beta on my MacBook Air at work. I need to test their wireless and stuff.
Right. All that.
And it had some type of a bug in it where it was, I don't know if it was cache files or log files, and it would just fill up the disk.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah, so, that was pretty.
I'd clear off 40 gigs, and like 2 hours later, I'm out of space again. I was like, man, this is not good. So I actually had to downgrade.
By the way, speaking of Wi-Fi, the new MacBook Air I have has the upgraded Wi-Fi. What is it? Wi-Fi 7?
7?
Bro.
Screaming.
It's super fast. I'm absolutely amazed I last night decided to do a test. It was like I'm getting full bandwidth on my laptop. It's like, whoa, okay, I could do that.
Crazy.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I got a new 15-inch MacBook Air at work. Just came in a couple of days ago. And so I need to set that up, get my data transferred over. Like I got it enrolled in our system and everything. I had the 13-inch model like you're testing.
Yeah.
But I was running, it's hard to work on that for me after you get used, because I've got a 27-inch display here. I've got a 27-inch display that I plug into at work. But my laptop at home is the 16-inch. So it's serviceable when I'm working on it because I can lay out my windows enough. But the 13-inch was so tight, and being in my mid-50s, a little hard to see sometimes without blowing the text up, and then you see even less on screen. So I got the 15-inch, so I'm looking forward to trying that out. But the M5, like the one you're testing too, so that'll be good.
Yeah, no, the Wi-Fi is smoking fast. Again, I don't know what, I'm not like transferring crazy
when
files.
You need it, it'll be great for those updates.
Yeah,
those 10 gig
one,
updates.
That's actually nice for that kind of stuff and copying files down. But it's crazy. Crazy just how fast it is. And
so speaking of Wi-Fi, a
yes,
bit of a personal story here, Jeff.
Okay.
So
not too personal, Tom. This is public.
Well, it's PG rated. So, we're considering moving.
Yes, you've said that.
Okay, and you said Wi-Fi, and this is why I bring it in because it's kind of funny. And so we're looking at different places, and we're kind of in this spot where, like, we don't want to buy new if it's from like a national builder because all those are put together like shit. So I don't want that. We did find a regional builder that has like a good reputation. And we checked out some of theirs, and they do actually seem to be pretty nice. Don't know if I'm going to go that route or if I'm just going to go buy something that was built in like 2006. And because the house we're in now was built in 1997. And again, nothing
old soul.
And I hate to say it, it's like, it's just so expensive. It's like, it's ridiculously expensive. But my wife and I are at a standstill. We're on our standoff. We're at something here. It's a moment of
you're guaranteed to lose, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, we found a place. It's a nice, little piece of land. Got the regional builder was going to, was building stuff there. So these are more remote. They're not really, I wouldn't say they're really rural. They're out, as we say, in the country a little bit, but they're 10 minutes from town, right? They're not like in the middle of BFE nowhere. And so we're like, all right, this looks pretty good. So, so there's well and septic, but there is no like broadband internet services out there. So our option would be Starlink.
Oh,
right?
geez.
Which Starlink's pretty good, right? For satellite, it's pretty good.
That dude any of my money. But go ahead.
So I was like, I can't do Starlink. I was like, sure, if all I was doing was sending text messages and emails and stuff, it'd be fine. Because I read on Reddit, people that have it seem to like it because they're in really remote areas, so they're just glad to have something. But I do think it's fairly decent. And so that's where we're at. She's like, yeah, but what about that? I was like, and then we get into, she's like, well, they say they're considering running, fiber out there. And I'm like, I don't buy on what might happen.
Right. No, you can't. Right.
So this is the tension in the Anderson household is over high-speed internet. I blame you for this, Jeff, because of this fine podcast.
Yeah.
And other things. So if any of you have suggestions on high-speed internet in semi-rural locations, feel free to send them in. Feedback at basicafshow.com.
DSL.
Oh, God. I'll take the Starlink first. But I told her, I was like, do you realize how the kids will revolt if we go from, like, gig fiber to Starlink and they're trying to play games and install 45 game updates, and that just sounds awful. So we shall see.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. That's scary prospect, to be certain.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Last
or
thing.
I just go off the grid, completely off grid.
No, that's
Shut
where I'm
it all
headed,
down.
pal.
So maybe you move in with us. We just go on. God, that would be so weird.
What are you saying, Tom? We're gonna put a ring on this now. Is that the deal?
Well, you live up in the mountains and get weird, as Eminem said once.
My God. Okay. Yeah. Good times.
All right, what do you got? You said you had one more thing.
Just stupid stuff. Not really stupid, but I think I mentioned this before that I was reading Nidia Corfor's Death of the Author. I'm going to highly recommend that. We'll put a link in. It's an interesting book. It's not really about AI. It's more about kind of the integration of humans with robotics, with a Nigerian twist. It's a really, really good book. So I finished it a couple weeks back. So Needy, that's spelled Nnedi, Okorafor, Okaorafor. I read one of her books in graduate school, Who Fears Death, that was also really quite good. And this is right up there with it, really a good book. And the other one that I'm reading is a book that I started after I finished this one. It's a book called Play World that kind of looks at this kid's life from Reagan era, which is like almost when I became sentient, early 1980s. It's when I came online. Through actually, I take that back, Carter, and then Reagan. So really, also a well-written book that I'm liking a lot. And I think the guy's name that did that is Adam. I want to say Adam Smith, but I'll tell you what it is. Hold on. We'll put links to both of those in there, but these are two really good books. I read a lot of books. You can get them, in your usual fashion. I think a friend of mine's listening to a Corforce book using the Libby app. So, from your local library, if you're not getting that, and I picked up my copy at, it's Adam Ross is the guy's name, Adam Scott, yeah, whatever. Really kind of interesting novel, kind of twisted in some ways, because the story opens up. He's reading. He starts out by saying that when he was 14 years old, a 34-year-old woman was in love with him. And so it's a little twisted in that way. Yeah, exactly. But it's more complicated than that. It's a really, really well-written novel, and I highly, highly recommend it. Came out in 2025. A kid's a child actor and has complicated, interesting relationship with his father, who's also an actor, but not as good or not as popular as the kid is. And then, and a bunch of other dynamics related to the weirdo woman who falls in love with him. So good stuff. Good stuff. That's what I recommend, Tom.
All right. Excellent.
And with that, I think we're done.
We are. Wrap us up, Jeff.
All right. So first of all, want to say thank you for listening. It's a big deal that you do that. And we'd like to ask you to recommend that, if you're listening to us, that you tell other people about us. We're kind of hanging steady at about 250 regular listeners, I think, and we could definitely use more than that. That would be a good thing. So like us on your favorite app, particularly on Apple Podcasts, give us a review. I don't think we've had a review in a minute. So, come on, give us a review. And next up, we've got Psychokinetics. That's our show music, Celsius 7. Grateful to Psychokinetics for letting us use that. And We hope that you take some time to listen to their music as well. And then our podcast artwork by Randall Martin Design, who does brilliantly. That's it, Tom. We're done.
All right. Sounds good. As Jeff said, we do really appreciate you hanging out with us. And then we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Till then, do have a great rest of your day or your night.
See ya.
I don't want to know about your imperfections, dude. Prefer to leave